Hello, Patome Insights family. To our returning viewers and subscribers, thank you for trusting the channel and partnering with us. And to our new members, we are glad that you could join us. We welcome you to Patome Insights channel, where we break down theoretical project activities into practical. And in this episode, we are going to talk about project schedule management. And under the project schedule management, we are going to delve on the difference between finishing on time and failing when it comes to projects. And just imagine this. A construction company wins a contract to build a modern hospital. The then project manager, Sarah, is very confident. Why? Because she has an experienced team. In other words, she trusts her team. And the funding has been approved. Besides that, all the required materials have been procured. So everyone believes the project will be completed within 12 months. And because of their surety and the past work experience, the record, the client is also excited. The community is also looking forward to a better health care because the modern hospital means an improvement on healthy facilities, healthy services that are rendered to them, and everything appears to be under control. The excitement is at the top notch. But now, 7 months later, the foundation is still unfinished. The electricians have nothing to do because the walls have not been built. So of course they cannot start installing the electrical appliances, or rather the electrical wiring and the such, when there is nothing, there is no wall. They cannot do it on the space. Again, the plumbers keep on postponing their work. And the medical equipment that were ordered months ago in readiness for completion of the hospital, it's gathering. Now the equipment is gathering dust in the warehouse because there's nowhere to have them installed for the work to kick off. And at that point, the workers now start blaming one another. And the client, who was initially excited, starts demanding answers. Every additional day of the calendar in the delay is costing thousands of dollars. So who is covering for those costs, for those expenses? Of course, it's the company that won, because at that point, the company is losing money. Remember, the funds were released, payment was done. So at that point, the company's reputation is at risk. And there comes the big question. What went wrong? It was a lack of money, because of course you see money was there. It was a lack of skilled workers, because you see Sarah's team was in fact skilled and experienced. Neither was it shortage of materials. Every procurement was done. But the real problem was much simpler. No one had developed and managed a proper project schedule. And without a proper and a clear schedule, everyone was busy. But not everyone was working on the right task at the right time. Maybe someone was working on the right task, but in the wrong time, because there was no schedule to guide on what should be done, at what point, at what level. And that's the difference between finishing a project successfully and watching it slowly fall apart. Besides every other thing that has been laid down, procurement, provisions, skilled laborers, Now, today, let us explore project schedule management, which is one of the most important knowledge areas in project management and one of the biggest reasons projects succeed or even fail. Once again, allow me to welcome you to Patome Insights, where we turn project management concepts into practical knowledge through real-life stories. Let's begin on it. And first, even before we understand how Sarah's project failed, let us first understand what project schedule management actually means, because it's good to understand what is this that we are talking about. It might sound to be a complicated thing, but it's a very simple thing that you'll find everything, even including your day plan in your household. It's very important. So project schedule management is simply the process of planning. You start by planning, then developing, monitoring, and controlling the timeline of a project. So first of all, you plan, come up with a plan, what should be done. Then from there, in developing, you also working on the organizing. What should come first? Who should do what? At what time should it be done? And how should it be done? Then you go to monitoring. When you talk of monitoring, it's like keeping a track on the progress of the project. And finally, you do controlling. Under controlling, you're just cross-checking. What was the laid down plan? And what do we have? Are we really achieving what we had planned? May it be on timeline, may it be on matters cost. Are we really getting even the quality of the project that was anticipated and wanted to be achieved? Now, think of it as creating a roadmap for your project. Imagine now traveling from Mombasa to Nairobi, or even from Nairobi to Mombasa. If you don't know which route to take, how long will the journey take? Where will you stop for fuel? Or what time will you arrive? The journey quickly becomes stressful and unpredictable. And in the same way, projects do work. Everything needs to be laid down, planned, and strategized. So a project schedule answers 5 important questions. Let us start with the 5 questions that they will be answered, that once it is covered, you know that matters schedule management, we are sorted. And the first question is, what work needs to be done in the project? Is it a construction project? Is it an IT project? Is it even a farming project? Maybe you have decided to keep livestock. What work needs to be done? And after I don't know in the what work needs to be done. For instance, in the case of Sarah's project of doing a hospital, there will be planning, there will be foundation, there will be doing the walls, what work needs to be done. Secondly, who will do it? That work, who will do it? Remember, you've seen there, the plumbers were postponing their work, yet they were the ones to do it. Electricians could not start doing their work simply because maybe the mason had not done the walls. when should it start, that thing? Because of course you cannot start doing the wall in before you do the foundation. So when should it start? That what needs to be done, when should it start? Remember, everything that has started must end. So the other question is, when should it finish? I have started the work, I am working on the work, the project is ongoing, but I'm not doing it eternally. When should it finish? And how do all the activities fit together? Because you synchronize them, at the end of it, the project is one. We need a hospital, and modern hospital, but the activities that will bring up the hospital are many activities from different professionals, different skills. So how do all these fit together? Now, without those answers, the project becomes organized confusion. You are organized, but it's an organized confusion. So when those ones are handled, you'll be able to get to know how will I fit in to give the project that has been mandated to me. Now, let's look at another simpler example maybe, so that you can get it better. This one is now just a simple thing that we might even overlook. Most of the times we hear of committees planning something, and at a point, we might take it like the committee is just using resources, consuming time, taking too long. But now, imagine you are organizing your own wedding. You have booked the venue. You know where the wedding will take place, on which day. And the caterer is ready. So things, stomach, well-being is catered for. And the photographer has already confirmed attendance with full equipment. The cameras are well and working. The SD cards are ready. Everything is done. As in, every person who is taking part in that wedding has what it takes. The wedding dress, that the gown is prepared, is ready. So you're just waiting for the D-Day to shine. Then the florist is also waiting, and everything seems perfect. Now we just figure out that whole thing in a wedding. Everything is perfect, but no one creates a schedule. We get on the wedding day, the D-Day is here with us. The decorator arrives after the guests. Now, when you go to the schedule, who is supposed to come before who? What is supposed to come before what? So the decorator arrives before the guests. So maybe the guests are the ones expected to decorate? We shall see. The cake arrives before the tables. So, where do we keep the cake? Will you walk around with it in our hands? Will you put it on the floor? It's there before the tables, remember? And the photographer comes before the bride. Who will cover the bride even on their way coming? The pastor arrives before the sound system. So is the pastor waiting for the sound system? And remember, the sound system has to be set, but it's not there. Every supplier did their job. Sure, everyone did their job, but where's the challenge? Nobody coordinated the timing. At that time, the wedding becomes chaotic. And this is exactly what happens in projects without proper scheduling. Planning activities is not just enough, but timing those activities is what creates success. So besides planning, the timing, attaching time, is what creates success. Now, since now at this point we understand why scheduling matters, how do project managers actually create one? Because it's one thing understanding how it works and how it matters and how important it is, but it is another one to actually create one. Everything begins with identifying every activity that needs to be included, that will be taking part in the project. And in such a thing, let us now look into a situation whereby you are building a school. What activities now will you include? And what is the order of doing those activities? Because of course, you cannot start with roofing before even doing the foundation. Now, the first activity will include or will be site preparation. The assumption is already the site was identified, because again, it starts with identifying the site. Then you prepare the site where the project is to take place. May it be leveling, may it be clearance. You do site preparation. Once you prepare the site, you start now working on the foundation. Now you've created a schedule. You start working on the foundation. Immediately of the foundation, you now begin working on the wall construction. Then roofing comes in. Electrical installation follows there. You see, there is order in how things are going on. Plumbing is right there. Painting. Remember, some things can take place while others are still going on simultaneously. Maybe as the electrician is working on electrical installation, the plumber is also working on it. Then there's painting. Now we are on the finishing the work. After painting, now you go and do the inspection of the project. Now, when you talk of inspection, there's the aspect of controlling. You are cross-checking, was what was planned, what we have already achieved. And if you are certain that we have achieved the goal that was set from the beginning, you go to the final step, which is handover. So you hand over the project to the client. Now, once every activity is identified, estimate how long each one will take. Is it taking 2 weeks? Is it a month? Is it a day? How long will each activity take? After that, determine which activities depend on others. Because some activities depend on others. For instance, you cannot paint the walls before building them. You cannot install electrical wiring before the roof is completed. By arranging these activities in the correct sequence, you actually create the project schedule. And you find everything will fall in its place. But once you've created the schedule, how do you keep track of everything? The schedule has been created, that's one thing. But now keeping track of the same is another thing. So that's where one of the most popular scheduling tools comes in. And we are now talking of the Gantt chart. Imagine every project activity displayed on one timetable. We are now talking about the Gantt chart. You can immediately see when each task starts and also when it finishes. Which activities depend on others and which tasks are complete. Which ones are falling behind. So instead of reading long reports, the entire project becomes visible at a glance. And that's why Gantt charts are widely used in projects such as construction, software development, NGOs, manufacturing, and also government projects. You find most of them are using the Gantt charts, the timetable. Let's look at this. A software company promised to deliver an online banking system in 8 months. At first, they tracked work using notebooks, phone calls, and WhatsApp messages. And at that point, nobody knew what was behind the schedule. Developers blamed status. Testers blamed analysis. And management blamed everyone. But eventually, the company introduced a Gantt chart. Suddenly, everyone could see who was late. Not from the chart, from the Gantt chart. We've graduated from the notebooks, the WhatsApp messages, and the phone calls. Now everyone, and this caters for the blame game, everyone could see who was late, which work had been completed, and also what remained, which activities depend on others. And at that point, the confusion disappeared. Why? Because visibility creates accountability. Everyone could see it was not a story anymore. It was not a theoretical story. It's something that each and everyone could see, everyone could look at, they could analyze and see for themselves. But as we celebrate there and that, here is something even more powerful. Not every activity is equally important. For instance, just imagine preparing dinner for your household. It seems to be a simple and easy activity and a thing. But look at it this way. That's why we should not take projects as just complicated things. Even the real things that we do in our daily activities are part of projects. Now, imagine preparing dinner. What are we preparing for the dinner? We need to cook rice. You grill chicken. You prepare salad. And also make juice. In this, some tasks can happen at the same time, while others cannot. For instance, the dinner cannot be served until the rice and the chicken are ready. If the chicken is delayed, everything is delayed. That sequence of activities, we call it critical path. The sequence, the order of the activities. We call it the critical path. And delay on the critical path delays the entire project. That's why experienced project managers monitor these activities more closely than any others. Or let's look into a real-life example. In an airport construction project. Now, the construction project contained hundreds of activities. There are several. But after analyzing the schedule, managers discovered that only 12 activities formed the critical path out of the hundreds of activities. Just imagine, only 12 activities formed the critical path. So instead of spreading the attention everywhere, being divided all over, looking at the massive activities, they focused on those 12 critical activities. The project finished ahead of schedule. Success often comes from focusing on the few activities that matters most. As project progress, how do we know we were making progress? Rather, we are making progress. That's where milestone comes in now, the project milestone. It is now, how do you know that you are making progress? The milestones in the project. Because milestones are major achievements. For instance, the milestones can start with first having the project approved. That's a milestone. Design completed for the project. Foundation done. Roof completed. Testing completed. And the project handed over. You've done, that's now what you mean by the project milestone. Because milestones don't consume time. They simply mark significant progress. They answer one simple question. How far have we come? That's a simple question that the milestones answer. And on that, just imagine climbing, for instance, a mountain. Let's talk of even Mount Kilimanjaro. If someone tells you, keep walking, you will eventually become discouraged because you are just hearing, keep walking, keep walking. But imagine hearing, you've reached Camp 1. You know, that's a milestone. I've reached there. Congratulations, you are halfway. Only 2 hours remaining. Those milestones motivate you to continue as opposed to keep walking statement. So projects work the same way. Celebrating milestones builds confidence and keeps team motivated. So those milestones, as we mentioned, they are not time consuming, but they are keeping us motivated and on track, knowing what have we done and what we have not, or rather what has not been done or completed. But even all that, best schedule can fail without discipline. So we need discipline to achieve and realize success in our schedule. And there are some practical tips that actually we can work with that can push us, especially on matters time management, because when you have come up with a schedule, you attach duration. When should it start and when should it end? So what are some of the practical ideas that you can work with? First is prioritize important tasks. Give them the priority. Prioritize them. Then after that, you can also review progress on weekly basis. Every week, review the progress. Don't assume it's going on, it's well. Do the review. Again, allocate resources wisely, because misallocation of the resources can lead to mismanagement, wastage, and a missing on the goal. Then you also prepare for unexpected delays. Remember, we mentioned something in our previous video on risk management. So you prepare for the unexpected delays that can come along. Besides that, a very key and important thing, communicate frequently. Communication with the stakeholders, with the shareholders wherever possible and necessary. Keep communication part of your working style. So good schedules only work when they are actively managed. Because if they are not managed, again, it becomes another organized delay. Or we look at it this way. A Kenyan contractor was building a county hospital. So every Friday, the project manager reviewed the schedule. And wherever delays appeared, resources were reassigned immediately. Problems were solved before becoming crises. The project finished 2 weeks ahead of the schedule. The satisfied client awarded the contractor 3 more projects out of the success in this one project. Because good scheduling does not just save time, it builds trust. And the trust creates new opportunities. So you can see the contractor got new opportunities because he built trust out of the good scheduling. Now, to sum it up all, what you should know is that projects rarely fail because people are lazy. Not at all. Most projects fail because time was never managed properly. And I remember these 5 lessons when it comes to projects. First, create a realistic schedule. Realistic one, not unrealistic. Remember, even the goals that you are setting are also supposed to be realistic. Then use Gantt charts to monitor progress. Remember, we talked of the Gantt chart when you do them on that timetable. And also focus on the critical path, because the critical path will also help to show what are the most important activities out of the many activities, out of the hundreds of activities, the tens of activities that has been mentioned and included in the project. What are the critical activities that you actually see to success? You might find out of the 50 activities, it's only 5 of them. Then don't forget to celebrate milestones. It's very important. It's very key. And besides that, manage time consistently. So, those are key things that you need to focus when you are working on that project. Matters schedule management. And a project without a schedule is like driving at night without headlights turned on. So that means you are driving with the headlights turned off at night. You may keep moving, but you are far more likely to crash before reaching your destination. Because even the visibility, you are not assured of what is ahead, you cannot see. So let us work on the schedules in big projects, in small projects, in our daily activities. And if you found this video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to Patome Insights. Let us grow the Patome channel. We cannot grow it on our own. We depend on our audience to grow the Patome Insights YouTube channel to reach out to many. And please don't forget to click the notification bell so you may never miss our next lesson on project management. We are committed to uploading as many as we can, and if there is any part of project management that you feel we need to tackle in our next video, kindly drop a message on the comment section and we'll pick it up from there. We are committed to offering practical solutions matters project management. Remember this, great projects don't happen by chance. They happen through careful planning, disciplined execution, and a continuous learning. Learning is a process. We keep on learning every time. So until next time, keep leading, keep learning, keep delivering successful projects. Thank you for watching Patome Insights.